Hello, everyone. Thanks for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny, and I'm here with.
Tomas Härenstam.
And today we're going to talk about Alien RPG, Evolved Edition, and Rapture Protocol. This is very exciting, and I love that after years of playtesting in and listening to the fans, you decided to create. I don't know if a new edition is the right word. Would you call it that?
Well, we call it the Evolved Edition. So yeah, it's a new edition in a sense, but it's not like a completely clean slate. It's not a different game. It's more of an evolution than a new game. So yeah, it is somewhere in between. But yeah, I mean, we've been working. We're coming up on 6 years since the release of the original game, and of course, there's been great feedback. We've learned a couple of things along the way, and we just felt that there's some cool stuff we'd like to do with the game. And we were coming up on a major reprint anyways. We just felt, why not take this opportunity to actually incorporate all of those little changes, large and small, that we kind of have accumulated over the years and realized that we really want to do. So yeah, the time just felt right.
Excellent, excellent. So let me share what I think amazes me so far about this edition. And yes, there are like a lot of interesting revised like new rules and miniature support, all these really interesting aspects of it. But for me, maybe because my graphic design background, I love that you changed the layout structure of the book,
Yeah.
meaning that instead of the typical, let me if I could show my to viewers the typical black background with white or colored text, you have white background with black text. I've heard from other designers that makes it much easier to read, much easier for layout, and also helps with cost because printing on black is expensive. Was that sort of the same idea behind it?
A little bit, part of it anyway. I'm not sure about the price there, but yeah, I mean, what things. The reason we wanted to change the kind of the graphic design of the game is a couple of different things. I mean, the original design is really cool to look at. It works beautifully as like a coffee table book. I think the first edition. But we've learned over the years that it doesn't quite work as well as we'd like it to at the table when playing the game or reading the text. It's sort of and it also consumes a lot of pages because it's fairly airy and it has these boxes, and that means the core book is up towards around 400 pages, which is a bit more than we prefer. And so we just felt that we wanted to kind of tighten it up a bit and go a little bit more for the kind of retro sci-fi style that I think is really cool. That also comes along with like the new film Alien Romulus that also does this. It's kind of a retro sci-fi vibe, and we wanted to kind of go that way as well. So we just tried lots of different ideas, and this new look is more of an old tech manual style rather than more of a glossy coffee table book style that we had before. So of course it's a matter of personal taste. I mean, I think the original version looked beautiful as well, and some people might prefer that. You always, but we felt since we're doing the change anyway, it felt like it made sense to have that new evolved edition also be give it a tangible visual result, so you can actually see it's a different book, a different style, just from looking at the pages. So that kind of made sense. So we're bringing it down from, even though we're adding content, and the new edition core rulebook will have more content than the old edition, but it's still going to be, I don't know exactly how many, but fewer pages, but with more content in them. So yeah, all of that together just made sense when we're doing the new edition.
You mentioned Alien Romulus. So does this book now is when it comes to the lore of Alien, is this? Would you say this is up to date as well?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the main part of the lore and the setting, it remains from first edition. It hasn't changed very much. So, and that all of that work that Andrew Gasket did is still there. But we are adding some sections specifically that are based on Alien Romulus. The Jackson Star colony that's seen in that film is described, the art and text and maps, as well as the ship they use and the pulse rifle in there. All of that is in the new edition. So we're adding some things, but yeah, I mean that's just sort of the main part of the setting is remains the same, but we're adding some things from Romulus.
Hmm. It's the Kickstarter that's coming out in March 2025. There's a lot coming out for this. It looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like what, 3 books, a starter set, miniatures. What is the campaign exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it's the core rule book, obviously, and then there is a new starter set that will hopefully be an even better starting point for the game for new players. And then there is the new cinematic adventure, which is called Rapture Protocol. It's a boxed set similar to the ones we've done previously, like Destroyer of Worlds and Heart of Darkness. So a completely new cinematic adventure with pre-generated characters and handouts and maps and all of that. And alongside that cinematic adventure, we're also doing a miniature set. So those miniatures can be used for anything, but they are also specifically designed to be used with this with the Rapture Protocol. So you get like miniatures of the characters and other things in that adventure. So and also we have a new style of maps in the adventures. So both in the new starter set and in Raptor Protocol, we have maps that are a bit more immersive, like that actually work with miniatures. So that sort of we're tying those two together. You can play the adventure without miniatures if you prefer, but we are adding more support for miniatures if you like that kind of thing.
So I know that the need to change some of the rules was helped spearhead this project, but is there also any changes to, let's say, like characters? Is there like new ships, new monsters, or new aliens per se?
Yeah, it's a couple of different things. I mean, yeah, I mean there are quite a few rules modifications, large and small. They're still it's still compatible. I mean, you can still play like the old adventures with the new rule book and vice versa, with some tweaking, not a whole lot, a little bit, and we'll give some support for that as well. But yeah, there's a couple of rules changes, like a couple of things that will come up a lot. I think overall, like the stress and panic mechanics have been very popular and work really well, but also we're refining them. There are some things that can work even better. So we're doing that. We're tweaking those, even though we're keeping the base of it, the stress dice and all of that is still there. We're just tweaking how that actually works, the kind of the results you can get, how it plays out. That's changing a bit. A couple of things like that. Things like vehicle armor is changing. There's like a couple of small things, bigger things. Yeah. So but no, I mean, in terms of creating characters, I think that's largely the same. And yeah, there are, I think, also generally in terms of creatures and monsters and things like that, and xenomorphs. I mean, the core book will have, I think, basically the same selection. We're usually adding more of those in expansions and things like that. So and also, we're probably doing, as part of this Kickstarter, new editions of Colonial Marines Operations Manual and Building Better Worlds. So those are coming also in because they are out of print mostly. So we're doing a new layout for those, but they're generally keep the content is basically the same. It's more of an update of the graphic design, and we're just tweaking small things here and there. So that's will also be part of the Kickstarter.
Oh, you beat me to my next question about the other books that you produced in the
All right.
past.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to hear. There's a lot of revisement to the rules here, and we could spend an hours talking about each one and mechanically how it works and everything. So, if I may ask instead, what's been some of your favorite changes? What are some that you felt like, okay, this makes a lot of sense?
Right. I mean, one thing that I really worked that kind of prompted the whole thing in a way it was that we started working on Rapture Protocol, and we felt we wanted to dial it back to basics a little bit and focus more on the core experience. And one thing that we felt got a little bit lost maybe in the other adventures is what we call stealth mode, and that is playing out round by round, like moving through a station or a base or a colony or a spaceship when there is like some enemy out there stalking you. And there's a system for that called stealth mode. And it's there in the first edition, but we felt it wasn't quite fleshed out enough, and it wasn't really incorporated that well into the adventures. We felt not, at least it wasn't fully realized. So if that is something we worked on for Rapture Protocol to really make stealth mode like a key part of that adventure, and that kind of prompted the evolution of stealth mode that is now part of the new core rulebook. And stealth mode is much more incorporated into the gameplay of both the starter set adventure and Rapture Protocol. So that's really where we put that. I think that is the biggest change, and the one we worked with the most, and the one I really enjoyed the most too. I mean, I think that is really kind of hits home at the core of sort of the horror aspect of the game, and it really ties into the Alien films and everything. It's really that thing of walking, sneaking around in that ship or base or whatever, and have a xenomorph or something stalking you. That whole thing, and getting that to really work at the table. That is, I think, the biggest shift that we have done, and the one I'm most excited about myself.
I see that you're incorporating a solo mode, Last Survivor, to this
Yeah.
as well. Free League has put out some really good solo adventures. The Strider mode for Lord of the Rings, for example, is fantastic. What can you tell us about the solo mode for this game?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into too much detail on that, it's written by Sean Tompkin and Matt Click, who also did the Strider mode that you mentioned. So you should be fairly, and they are, of course, they have a solid reputation for doing the best solo modes out there. So we're really happy to have them on board for this one as well. So it's called The Last Survivor, and yeah, it's the whole idea is basically to get the alien experience while playing solo. I think I won't get too technical about it right now, right here, but it is part now. It's going to be part of the core rule book. So basically, if that's something that appeals to you, it's going to be right there in the core rule book to try out. Also, a fun way to play. Even if you do play with a group, normally you can get a session or two extra in there just playing solo, because you might not be able to get the group together as often as you'd like. So for us, it's not like solo mode is not it's not that or playing with a group. It's like we prefer, it's fun to do both depending on where you're at and what you can get to the table.
Hmm. And I see you have miniature play support. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a whole new thing? Was that previously in Alien?
We didn't do any miniatures before this, so this is the first time we're doing miniatures. And what we mean by miniatures support is basically that the maps will now support miniatures. Also, there will be specific rules for how to actually use miniatures if you want to. You don't need to in the game when playing combat and playing stealth mode, things like that. And we're also planning probably to include in the miniature set, I believe, just a small booklet on actually using the miniatures and the maps to play some kind of a skirmish game, which is basically not really it's like just taking the stealth mode and the combat rules to play out basically a skirmish game with miniatures on these maps. It's like a whole little game on its own. It's not fully an RPG, but it's more of a skirmish game. That it's just a fun way to use these resources and assets and miniatures and things to you can get that on the table and play it like in an hour or two without it's like an easier thing maybe to just throw out there if you just have a game night and you didn't plan anything. You can just do that. We did that a couple of times here at the office, and it's a lot of fun. Just no prep at all, just put it on the table, bring out the miniatures and the maps, and just play a skirmish game. It really works pretty well like that, we think. So that we're also adding that into the mix.
Hmm. Is there any plans for like digital support, like for like Roll20 or Foundry or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, most of the games that we do, we try to have on as many VTTs as we can. There are many out there. We might not be able to support them all, but yeah, I mean, as far as I know, at the moment, we'll continue to have the Alien RPG and also the new stuff on Foundry, Roll20, and also Alchemy. Those are the thing. Those are the ones that I know for sure. The other ones, there might be more, but we'll get back to that. But yeah, definitely we'll continue the VTT support for the Alien RPG and expand it. So that's really not going away.
Hmm. Stretch goals. I know Free League has done some really interesting stretch goals in the past for their projects, for their crowdfunding projects. Are we expecting something similar for this as well?
Yes, there will be stretch goals, and hopefully we'll, reach, unlock a few of them as well. I hope so. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I can't really give that away just yet. We'll need to save something for the launch itself. But yeah, there's going to be a couple of cool stretch goals for sure. Some of them are I'm really excited about. So that'll be fun to see. Definitely some stretch goals.
Hmm. One last question. I know you've been interviewed before about the Alien RPG Evolved Edition and answered many questions about it. Is there anything you wanted to share that no one's asked you about this campaign?
Oh, that's a good question. Something nobody asked about. What might that be? Oh yeah, there was one thing that might mention. We have some cool extras in this campaign that'll be fun to see, like sort of extra things that are not necessarily RPG only material. So we'll see what people feel about that. There is like also a fun little bonus for. We usually have like an early bird bonus, and usually we have something like an art print or something. But for this one, we're doing something a little bit different. So I can't say just yet what that'll be, but it'd be fun. Keep an eye out. Well, we would probably announce that a little bit before we go live, but it's something a little bit different that I think might be a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for that.
Hmm. Anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think I can think of anything in particular. No, I think we covered. Well, there's a lot to say, but I think we covered, covered it pretty well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Alien RPG Evolved Edition and Rapture Protocol. I can't wait. I've enjoyed these books a lot, and I know my group is very excited to see what new changes are coming for this new edition, especially with the stealth mode.
Great, thank
But I
you.
mean, the stealth rules. But yes, everyone, thank you for watching. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time.